About this time last year, my wife, who was then my fiancée, and I were making key hooks with tile mosaics on top for Christmas presents. My father-in-law-to-be had just given me his old table saw and bandsaw, and I was eager to learn to use them. I made the wooden frame, and my wife made a different mosaic for each person. One of the mosaics had a colorful pink scene with purple and lime green birds. Since then, I've learned a lot about woodworking, and for this Christmas we're going to try a coffee table with a similar theme. I've heard it said that life's too short to turn crappy wood, and I have to admit that, as spoiled as it may make me seem, I really didn't know what that meant until I chucked up this 4x4 Douglas fir. This stuff just really doesn't like to cut. It splinters and chips, and otherwise puts up a fight even after it's round. But for my first real crack at spindle turning, and also at replicating, I'm just happy to have 4 legs that look roughly the same. It's finally starting to cool off in Austin. One of the best feelings in the world is waking up on a Saturday morning and stepping into the crisp fall air with a hot cup of coffee. The aprons for the table are leftover 2x4 from another project. I can see the fine woodworkers shaking their fists at me for using framing lumber and furniture. Just wait till you see how I did the tenons. Once the mortises in the legs were cleaned up, I could sneak up on the perfect size for the tenons. A few of these were more of a stumble past than a sneak up on, but everything ended up fitting together snugly. Here's some shots of me trying not to be frantic while gluing it all up. My number one concern for the top was wood movement. You can't bend a brick, and just the same, tile and grout don't flex, they just crack. To minimize movement of the tabletop, I used plywood and decided to break the tile mosaic into 3 panels. If there is some expansion or contraction in the top, it will hopefully be taken up by these dividers, or at least the grout will crack along one of the edges instead of through the middle of the mosaic. My wife did the entire mosaic herself with just a little bit of help from me on cutting the tile. She loves doing this and has been asking me to make more things out of wood that she can add tile to. She has an incredible imagination and I'm always amazed by her work. When mixing the grout, you have to add water slowly. The line between dust and soup on this sanded grout is very narrow. I always wear gloves because grout is cementitious and it is slightly caustic to skin. Even with gloves you have to be careful, because at this point the mosaic is essentially a surface of broken sharp edges. A lot of times when people use the word rustic, they just mean they did a rough, unpolished job with a lot of visible mistakes. And I want to be very clear that that's exactly how I'm using the term for this project. It was the intention from the very beginning to paint this table. The highlight is the tabletop, so the legs and skirts are painted with a neutral color. The 3-panel mosaic on the tabletop to me looks like panes in a window, so I painted it dark brown. Here's some shots of the final table. Let me know what you think in the comments.